Hi everyone and welcome to Learn Channel. I'm Angela, your host for this broadcast, and today we will explore another interesting topic. We will seek to understand about the ways how education plays a role in the development of a facility management professional. Together with us via Zoom is Thomas Mitchell, who has more than 30 years of facility management experience serving in leadership positions within government, private and non-profit industries. He is committed to advancing the performance of organizations' two most valuable assets, the workforce and the workplace. He does that by sharing solutions that increase individual competency and business sustainability. Currently, he is Senior Vice President and COO within FM3IS Associates in Texas, USA. Welcome, Thomas. It's a great pleasure to welcome you on the show.
Thank you, Angela. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
We would like to start with a simple question. What is facility management?
A simple question, a somewhat complicated answer, because there are different definitions depending on where you are and your perspective. So I'll share the definition that the International Facility Management Association uses. I've been a member of the association for quite some time. Facility management is a profession that encompasses multiple disciplines that ensures the functionality of the built environment through the integration of people, place, process, and technology. So it's an all-encompassing profession that involves multiple disciplines such as architecture, engineering, planning, even soft services in terms of administrative services, to make sure that the experience of the individual within that built space is such that it lends itself for that user to accomplish whatever they seek to do within that built space.
The businessman called Gregory Blondeau in one of his articles says that the top 4 skills for FM professionals for 2021 were technological creativity, compassion, adaptability, and a data-driven mindset. Can you list the top 4 skills for 2022?
Absolutely. And I know Greg, he's a very passionate member of our profession. The 4 that I would add to what Greg has already shared would be asset management, life cycle cost analysis, leadership, and performance measurement. In today's society, based on the expectations from our users, there's absolutely going to be a need for us to ensure that we're maximizing the use and value of these facility assets that encompass our facility portfolio. Life cycle cost analysis helps us to recognize that whatever money that we spend today is going to have an impact on how we use these facilities tomorrow. There's a report that I remember reading several years ago that showed that the acquisition of the facility, meaning design and construction of that facility, represents only 15% of the total cost that a user will spend while that facility is in your portfolio. Leadership, clearly important, not just facility management, but other professions too. Simple definition is to have the ability to inspire others to work collectively together to pursue and accomplish a common goal. And lastly, performance measurement. You can't manage what you can't measure. So to ensure that we're achieving the desired outcomes, it's important to evaluate how we're doing throughout the entire life of the facility.
Do you agree that facility managers are handling the organization's largest assets with one of the largest operating budgets?
Absolutely. We are a cost center. Unless you're involved in an enterprise that now leases facilities or sells facilities to customers. So as a large cost center, another report that I read some time ago is that the third most expensive asset that belongs to an organization happen to be the facilities. The first expense is going to be personnel. So obviously you'll have to pay us, there'll be compensation, so forth and so on. The second highest expense tends to be whatever products or services that an individual is providing. So in the case of Elon Musk, who develops electric cars and rocket ships, yes, that's a hefty price tag. Number 3, inevitably, in terms of overall value and expense, will be the facility portfolio. So that's a lot of responsibility that not only is assumed by facility professionals, but also tends to get the visibility and attention of those chief decision makers who are always trying to manage costs so that you can reduce your expenses, but maximize the return on these investments.
Do well-educated facility managers have more successful careers?
Without question. The International Facility Management Association has actually done some polling and learned that individuals who take advantage of their learning opportunities, and this is just for IFMA, there are others, of course, like L3RN, they tend to garner higher salaries and advance much further in their organization than those who don't have additional education to refine and expand their skill sets.
Why is education so important for facility managers? Do you recommend constant training and improvement?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you asked that question. I'm referring to a peer-reviewed article that was written by a colleague of mine who also teaches at Florida A&M University. It's entitled Investigating the Facility Management Profession Shortfall. Here's the gist of the issue. We are experiencing a lack of trained facility managers within the workforce. Much of it has to do with the average age of a facility manager. It's projected that we're going to lose about 50% of our current workforce within the next 5 to 10 years. The article also recognizes that it takes about 20 years to develop a competent facility manager. So if we're going to lose half of our workforce within the next 5 to 15 years, yet it takes 20 years to develop individuals who can replace these individuals currently in the workforce, education is the only way that we can address this gap and this shortfall to ensure that we can continue to provide the kind of service and performance that our end users have been relying upon, not just in the United States, but across the world.
In what ways is facility management more relevant now than before?
Facility managers and our facility portfolios have a direct impact on the bottom line of an organization's financial performance. This has come to light, particularly over the last couple of years, as a result of our not using these facilities because we've had our workforce work remotely from alternate locations because of the effects of the pandemic. There are a lot of people who are still working in these remote locations, yet these facilities still are an expense because operations and maintenance need to occur. But the question now is, if we've been successful, generally speaking, as an organization, by not having our workforce in these facilities, we have to make sure that we're doing the necessary analysis to ensure that we have the right amount of facilities for the right amount of functions that will continue even in this hybrid environment. That's a lot of responsibilities that the facility managers have. And it's going to be our job to ensure that we're maximizing the value of that portfolio, even if we have to eliminate some of that portfolio, because the missions of these organizations still need to be accomplished. The question now is, what percentage of the portfolio that we currently are managing will be retained by the organization so it can be successful and not have excessive expenses?
What skill sets do facility managers have?
Oh, there is such a variety of skill sets. I'm going to be focusing on a couple of them that are particularly important today. Change management is one of them. We've all experienced the change associated with working in these remote environments, and there's still concern in the world as it relates to this pandemic. So we're going to have to take the lead in helping people to recognize this new way of doing business, which may be the new normal, as they say. We're also going to have to recognize behavior. We're going to have to understand how our facilities impact the overall condition of our individuals who are using these spaces, regardless of it's the place where they work, play, stay, or pray. The value proposition of facility managers is still relevant today. We just have to acquire the necessary skill sets to ensure that the end user, which is ideally our strategic purpose that we have to address, is still able to use the workspace as it was intended.
Thomas, we would like to wrap up with a question about IFMA, the International Facility Management Association. As per them, one of the ways to support future generations with the expertise is attending facility management conferences, expos, and training programs. What's your take on this?
Angela, thank you for asking that question. The International Facility Management Association, IFMA, has been a part of my life literally for the last 25 years. It's made a huge difference in terms of my ability to serve as a professional within the global community. I think what IFMA is doing, and admittedly, I have a personal bias, but hopefully what I share will be taken based on the spirit in which it was intended. IFMA provides what I consider to be the A's of professionalism, and there are three of them. There is academics, there is application, and there is affiliation. The academics come from the educational products that IFMA offers, a wide variety. And of course, L3RN is very familiar with them. Many people have benefited from acquiring the knowledge that now enables them to serve better within their respective organizations. There's also the application, because acquiring knowledge is one thing, but being able to successfully demonstrate that knowledge so you can make a positive difference in terms of ensuring the functionality of the built environment is the bottom line that's received well, not only by our chief decision makers, but also by our end users. And affiliation, which strikes to the core of the question that you asked. Being able to network and communicate with like-minded professionals, each of us making our individual contributions to expand the capability of the global community is absolutely critical. It provides us a way to experience new ways of doing things. We may do something that's particularly noteworthy in the US. There may be things that are being done that's particularly noteworthy in Northern Macedonia. By coming to these conferences and hearing from subject matter experts who are aware of these best practices, we collectively grow and we can make a global difference. So thank you again for asking that final question.
Thomas, thank you for the amazing input and for being our guest.
You're very welcome. Again, my pleasure. I hope I have the opportunity of doing so again.
We thank the viewers as well for tuning in today. If you're keen to learn more, please check our recordings on our YouTube or Vimeo channels. Feel free to pick and suggest a topic for discussion, and we will consider it in one of our next episodes. Until next time, stay tuned.